Record-breaking flooding killing dozens of people in eastern Kentucky. Now the state is dealing with dangerous heat and humidity in areas without power. As the state works to open cooling centers, CBN's Operation Blessing is helping Kentucky residents pick up the pieces. Our Brody Carter has more in our top story.
At least 37 people killed, thousands displaced.
There's just total buildings gone, houses washed down the road.
No fatalities have been reported since Monday. However, Governor Andy Beshear fears that number is likely to rise in the coming days.
Biggest concern for today and tomorrow is the weather. It is very, very hot.
Many streets remain impassable. Dangerous heat threatens thousands, still without electricity or running water. The National Guard is flying helicopters to deliver water and vital supplies to remote Kentuckians. Community centers are acting as supply hubs and cooling centers as rising temps threaten the immense cleanup effort now underway.
If we'd waited too much longer, we probably wouldn't have made it out.
Brenda Kelly has lived in eastern Kentucky 53 years. She and her grandchildren watched as floodwaters rose, damaging most all of her possessions.
We've got each other. Everything else maybe can be replaced, but we can't replace you all.
Scientists say training thunderstorms, or storms that repeatedly move over the same area, created the perfect setup for flooding in several Appalachian counties. The North Fork of the Kentucky River reached a peak not seen in 95 years.
No, I'd never heard of Operation Blessing, but they really are a blessing.
CBN's Operation Blessing is on the ground, helping eastern Kentucky pick up the pieces.
They've helped us box up and get out what is salvageable, keepsakes that were so important to my mother and things that she had saved all of her life.
Operation Blessing is undertaking the enormous task of packing thousands of meals, distributing Home Depot disaster relief kits, and helping people in eastern Kentucky recover from this massive disaster.
Operation Blessing has really been a blessing to us. They have done so much to help us, and we couldn't have come this far without them.
Brody Carter, CBN News.
And Richard Holmes is joining us now. He is the pastor of Connection Church, which is in Pikeville, Kentucky. Thank you so much for joining us. First, describe the situation. What are things like there?
Thank you for the opportunity. It has been an unimaginable scene to see the heartache and the catastrophic loss. This has been described as a millennial event, once in 1,000 years flooding that has occurred not just in one community, county, or zip code, but across several counties. And so it's hard to get your mind and your heart wrapped around not just the scenes, but the vast amount of what is happening across a large area.
I know there are people essentially being the hands and feet of Jesus to help there. Any specific stories stand out in terms of what's happening?
Oh, there's so many. Nursing homes that were flooded and had to be evacuated. There are homes that were flooded off of their foundation and then collided into one another and caught fire. There are instances of people who lived across a private creek and the bridges that connected their homes were washed away, and they lived, for several days were stuck isolated, and some of our teams accessed them by ATV or by foot and found that they had been there without water, electricity for days. One man with a colostomy bag that hadn't been flushed in several days, and when our team got to him, he said, "Had you not got here, I would have starved to death." Many senior citizens that are physically handicapped, their wheelchairs and walkers that were washed away, and they lay in a floor unable to move for several days. There's just so many heartbreaking, desperate situations that we've encountered.
Hearing that heartbreak and the devastation, how do you begin bringing hope to those who've lost everything?
In the midst of unimaginable pain, we see the hand of God in the activity, the generosity of the people of God. We see churches that are crossing historically denominational lines of disagreement and coming together in unity. We see people from all over the nation and the world that are flooding with donations and volunteer hours. We're seeing more people open to the gospel right now, and that's one of the things that we are not just rushing into this with tools, but rushing into this with the truth of the hope of the gospel of Jesus Christ so that we can make an eternal impact in the lives of people.
Real quick before we let you go, how do these natural disasters reshape that area of Kentucky?
For us, this is not just simple cleaning up of, some mess. This is 2 to 3 years of rebuilding structure and rebuilding a way of life. And it's too soon to know what the full impact is going to be, but we're talking about restructuring an entire cultural way of life. These are small towns of 200 to 2,000 people. These are not large communities. It's very remote because we don't have an abundance of flat land to have subdivisions and communities of that nature. So it's going to be severe implications.
Our prayers continue. Thank you so much, Pastor Holmes. We appreciate your insight.